I think that it would be a shock for anybody that's located in the area, much like, anybody down in San Diego would feel if they heard something about the local utility there as well. I think these are the kind of things, though, that the headlines are usually worse than, at the end of the day, the reality. So you just have to see how things unfold. It's not like the company is going to go out of business and cease to exist, and people's power is not going to come on when they go to turn it on. So I don't think nobody needs to be worried about things like that.
Given the fact that it's a utility as opposed to, say, a private business, this is a shareholder business, but as opposed to a private company, the fact that it's a utility, what's the difference there?
Well, at the end of the day, you've got, there's shareholders that are going to be impacted. In fact, they've lost about half their value today and 80% over the last 3 months. So that's a pretty significant hit for the shareholders, as you would expect in any type of business. The lenders, they have to worry about getting repaid. It's the same as any other type of business. And so they're concerned about the value of their loans or any bonds, anything like that are in place. So they're obviously concerned that will they be able to recoup full value on that if the company were, in fact, to go through Chapter 11. I guess that's the first thing I'd say is Chapter 11 is really a reorganization and to try to get things organized, put a ring around, get a control over the claims that are coming in from people whose homes unfortunately were burnt down, businesses who were damaged and, had business interruption. All those types of claims that are coming in are just, it's so overwhelming to any company, and they really just need to do a big, hey, we're going to call a timeout essentially. I know bankruptcy sounds scary, but again, it's not a liquidation. We've got to get a ring around this. We've got to get everybody to sit down and talk about how are we going to work this out so we can ultimately have everybody be satisfied. Nobody 100% probably, but you got to get everybody at the table to work it down and kind of get like I said, a fence around how broad is this going to go, and limit the claimants so that you know who they are and what you're dealing with.
And you've seen this so many times here throughout your professional career here, but this is so much more high profile, just given the fact that it's a utility. There were wildfires involved and then plenty of lawsuits as well. But as you said, you're just kind of trying to hit a pause button right now and try and work through that if you are PG&E.
I think that's, absolutely right. I mean, they've still got, several $1 billion of cash on hand, and so there's not any imminent danger of them not being able to function. They did have to replace, the president of the company, which, they're going to be heading into a different phase of things right now, and you need somebody who's better equipped to deal with maybe, more of the crisis management. But I'd read a report this morning that said they had filed a claim to notify people that they had seen it looked like one of their power lines that fell over had actually been, the way that it said it was like shot at, like there were bullet holes, or like somebody had maybe done some type of damage that caused one of them to go over. And if that's the case, then, that's not directly their fault. That's some, malicious activity that somebody put in place. I can't confirm it, or, I just something I read this morning. So you really have to get to the bottom of all these things. Where do they start? And obviously it's horrific for everybody that lost, lives and businesses and homes. It's a scary thing for people to deal with. But at the end of the day, things will get taken care of, and as they usually do. Again, it's not the first time something like this has happened, and it probably won't be the last, quite frankly. So I think it's the kind of thing that, people just, again, I think that's why I try to start up front with just the whole, people are not going to go have their refrigerators turned off and their lights not go on and their computers not work. That's not going to happen. The state may get involved a little bit because obviously they have a vested interest in trying to make sure that their constituents and the people and the businesses and everybody that lives up in that area is taken care of, and that's why, you may see them get a little bit more involved. I think that was maybe what you were getting to earlier on in the questioning of the difference of it being a utility compared to a regular business, right? The state has obviously got a much bigger interest in this type of thing with all their citizens and taxpayers and making sure they are all taken care of. So that's why you could see them step in. And do they have to provide some type of tax incentives as part of a package that helps things get rebuilt? Because, you've got a lot of insurance companies with settlements. And it's just, you really just got to get everybody in the tent, so to speak, and sit down and say, how are we going to work through this? It's not going to be pretty, for sure, but it's not like there's not going to be power. And I think that's the thing most people need to understand, that they will move forward.